My name's Tad Armbruster. I'm the technical product manager for Chemical Consultants. We manufacture the emulsion and a lot of the chemistry and adhesives and things that Ryonet sells. And we've been with them since the beginning, and Ryan's been a very good partner to us on the online side of business. And we've worked well together, and I think they do a great job of educating the group of everybody who buys online, and they've been doing a good job. I've done one of these before in Seattle. We did it at a hotel. We did a hands-on like water-based seminar, and I did a little bit of screen making there, but we didn't have access to exposure units and things like that in the hotel, so it was very limited. So today we'll kind of get a fuller scope of what screen making is and how to go about it from A to Z. Any questions as far as, I guess the way I'd like to ask it is, what type of inks do you guys print? Are you printing water-based, anyone, or water-based? So a little bit of water-based, and then the majority of you, okay, and the majority of you plastisol? Okay, all right. Well, when selecting an emulsion, you want to kind of know what ink system you're going to be working with, because with water-based, you want something that's going to be water resistant. With a plastisol, you want something that's going to be solvent resistant. So you want to make sure in your emulsion selections, when you go to make a screen, that you're understanding what those points are. The other thing to be aware of is what type of exposure unit you have. Even though that's a light box, Ryan sells some exposure units that work off fluorescent, like that. He does some single point light source with halogens as well. And then there's larger units that are like 1000K or 1K type exposure units that are metal halide. So understanding which unit you have will also determine what emulsion you have. Most likely, if you're using something like this, then you want to go to a photopolymer emulsion, which is pre-sensitized in the container. It's already pre-mixed and ready to go. You would coat that. It's a much faster exposing. Photopolymers don't have as much solvent resistancy or water resistancy, but they are a very fast exposing product. So what you could do is you could still make a very good screen even though you have a exposure unit that's not as high powered or not as efficient. So you're always making the hardest dot that you can make. So one of the things that we do with the products we sell to Ryan is we sell a dual cure product, which a dual cure product is acrylic and polyvinyl alcohol, and they're mixed together with a photo initiator. And what that does, when mixed with Diazo, which is what this is, that helps sensitize the product. And they're shipped in tight containers so they don't leak. So. Now you want to usually do this in a light safe area if you can.
Is this light safe enough right now?
Yeah. Anything that is yellow spectrum. Diazo is a yellow product. So anything in a yellow spectrum, yellow bug light, or sleeves you can buy through Granger or these guys over a fluorescent will help put you into a yellow environment. A lot of people will want to think it's like a dark room and have a red light and make it real dark, and you don't really need to do that. You can have it as bright as we have in here so you can really see what you're doing. and really, you know, understand and see. So
But to have the door open doesn't affect it.
no, because you're not getting, you know, direct beam, direct sunlight, things like that. If you're in an area that's got a lot of windows and you're getting some sunlight, you may want to block that. Sunlight's not the best friend of emulsion. It's gonna expose it. So you're gonna usually get an emulsion that's like this. For the ones of you that haven't printed before, it's gonna come in quart or gallon. You're gonna get a small jar of Diazo. What I like to do, because everybody has different water systems, and some people may be on well water, and some people may be on city water, you have iron content that's in different areas or across the country. And iron and Diazo don't really mix too well. So to keep from having any kind of clumping or anything that could happen to the emulsion, what I recommend is using like bottled water or distilled water when you mix the Diazo.
Do all emulsions use a Diazo or just that?
Just either
desensitized?
Diazo or dual cure. And Diazo emulsions fall under water resist type products. And then photopolymer, like this product, which is CCX, this is pre-mixed, pre-sensitized.
You don't do the pre-mixed, pre-sensitized, and water resistant?
Can you say that again?
Pre-mixed, pre-sensitized, and water resistant?
What you can do is you can add Diazo to it to make it water resistant.
Oh.
That's one of the tricks to doing it. The other is to take a hardener and apply a hardener to that, which is it's a liquid acid, and I can get some and show you what it is. It's just a liquid, and you apply it with a rag onto the product after it's coated. But we'll come to that. I'll show you that once we kind of get to that stage.
I'm just curious because I was like starting out or using like the halogen for it's a lot cheaper, and as you said, exposes easier. So.
It's not necessarily cheaper. It's per gallon. It's you.
No, I mean the light system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The light system.
Okay. All right. So Diazo is a powder. It's a photosensitive powder, much like emulsions that were coated on film. I don't know, back in grade school or whatever, you take the paper clips and put them on film and expose it to white light. It's very similar to this process. This is emulsion. We make it light sensitive with the Diazo, and when we coat it to a screen, then it becomes light sensitive, and we can transfer images to it. So what I like to do is fill it about maybe 3/4 of the way full, and then shake real well. Very vigorous. And then you can just pour it right in. And what I like to do is, because it'll foam and there'll still be some particulate, as you can see. What I like to do is take a little bit more water and just try to get the remainder of that if you can. Now there's some fudge factor built into the Diazo amount that goes in here because of loss going from one container to another, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But just try to be efficient and get as much as you can.
This environment in this room will be safe for opening that.
Yes, sir. Yep. So we get it all in. Then when you go to stir, you want to just make sure you get all the outside of the container and turn it back in. And you basically want to stir it until you don't get any more streaking or you don't see any more water. And the biggest thing is to be thorough when you do this so that you sensitize the entire quart, gallon, or 5 gallon that you use. Now, each one of the products we sell, if it's a Diazo sensitized, comes with a stir stick, either in the gallon form or the 5 gallon.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Once you've sensitized this, if you're in a cool environment that's not, plus 90 degrees all the time, you can push this product to about 6 to 8 weeks from when it's sensitized. If it's hotter, then it's going to be a little shorter pot life.
How many screens will that have?
It depends on what mesh count and size of screen, but in a 2024, I think you could probably do close to 100, right about there.
Brand new, so
Mm-hmm.
lots of questions.
Not a problem. Feel free to ask.
What's your shelf life on screens after you put it on?
About 4 to 5 weeks. And then once again, heat has something to do with it. Diazo is very reactive to heat. If it's plus 100 degrees, it starts to wane away. It'll start to oxidize, is what happens to it. So from a point, once coated, if it gets really hot, you could affect it a little bit. But a lot of guys will dry with a little bit of heat in a dry box or hot box, as long as it's not plus 100F, or 105F. Try to keep it in there. So what happens is after you sensitize this, it will have air in it because you just stirred all this air into it. So you've mixed it, it's ready to go, but you need to let it sit because you've stirred all this air into it. Now if you go to coat the air bubbles into it, you'll get pinholes. And then when you go to expose, those are going to wash out, and then you've got a bunch of stars on your mesh, and that's something you don't want. So what I like to do is just cap it, set it off to the side. So if you get it in, it's usually, if you've got a lot of screens to coat that week, it's usually best just open it up, pre-mix it, let it sit an hour or two, and then come back and start coating.